back. Arbitrum Day, gents. How are we doing?
Fan-arbin-tastic. How are you?
Very good, very good. Quite excited.
Free money, free money. It's free money day, guys. Free money.
Yeah. I suppose we'll get into it. We're going to just go through what the hell this airdrop means, how long we've got left, how we're all going to think about playing it, who are the projects in the Arbitrum ecosystem that are going to reap the benefits of it, what the charts are reacting like based off the back of that, how people can get exposed, calculators based on what we're expecting price to be at launch and potentially what price could be in the short, mid and near term. And then we're just going to round it up with some of the Coinbase stuff that's happening and maybe talk about some of the boring numbers from that got printed yesterday and stuff like that. So, but yeah, should we kick it off? I'll bring up the screen 2 seconds. First and foremost, a fantastic website, the Arbitrum.Foundation. I will leave the link to this in the description. I'm sure it's been doing the rounds, but the only reason I want to leave the link to the actual site in the description is I didn't realize yesterday, but the amount of scam promotion, sponsored posts on Twitter that are floating around saying like Arbitrum Airdrop live. It's a complete minefield, and if you don't know what you're doing, it could be quite dangerous because like 99.99% of those are scams, and this is confirmed the correct website. So it's just Arbitrum.Foundation. Always just go through the official Arbitrum links if you are going to check on it. But yeah, 4 hours 49. Jerry, how are you thinking about it?
I did make a post on Twitter about it. The way that I see it is that I think there's two ways to play it. I think you can just completely outright sell it and hope that it does dump, which is more than likely will in light of what other airdrops have done, and then pick up some, at the bottom. But then once again, you're trying to catch a falling knife. From my perspective, I'm not really interested in doing that. I don't really have the time to sit and watch the 1 minute chart. Dan likes watching the 5-second chart. Not my thing. So I'm just gonna hold on to what I've been given. It's free money, and if there's major dips, then I'm gonna buy in and try and accumulate as much as possible. What is the perspective long term? I think Arbitrum is just going to continue being successful. I don't believe that the Arbitrum ecosystem is successful presently because of the airdrop. I think it has contributed, but I think overall there's enough TVL and there's enough brilliant projects there for the momentum to continue well into the future.
Sell me all of your Arbitrum tokens for 69 cents. Sell me everything, all of it. I will have stink bids ready. I gave you Solana at 60 cents back in 2001. I gave you ADA. No, I didn't actually give you ADA. I am giving you Arbitrum at 69 cents, ladies and gentlemen. I am ready. I have 6 cans of half, like the big monsters. I've got some snacks I've been going through here. Eat Nature, very healthy. Please sponsor us. I am. Guys, we've got 4 hours and 47 minutes. I will have a nice tuna sandwich ready and raring to go. I am packed, and I can't think of another P right now off the top of my head, but I'm pounding. Let's go.
Yeah,
Dan, what's your strategy, Dan?
Hope for the best.
No, man. What are you planning on doing? Do you have a plan, or you just don't give a fuck?
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Truth be told, because I have to give it shit. And what we write about in the newsletter, there's literally like 3 ways you can play it, and I think this is the best ecosystem rotation that any of like the layer 2s, layer 1s, or whatever will ever have. Because what's happening is they're injecting a shit ton of money into the ecosystem, so everybody's gonna like dump their tokens, the actual ecosystem tokens. Then they're going to put all of that money straight into the Arb token. That's going to pump to the sky heavens. Then they'll take the profits on that token and be like, oh my God, look at that. Like one of the ecosystem tokens that they loved, that they dumped, is now on a massive discount. And then they're going to aid back into that. It's absolutely, like, honestly, mate, like we were saying, like, that the Arbitrum airdrop was going to be something special, mate. This is going to be super duper freaking special.
Yeah, it's days like these that were these are the most exciting days, aren't they? Particularly if you've got exposure and you know you're going to have exposure to it. But I've been terrible with airdrops for as long as I can remember. I got the Uniswap airdrop back in the day. That was great. Idiot like me just sold it for like $4 or something. And obviously we know how that went, particularly during the during the bull market. But I'm just gonna sit on my hands. I've got no kind of no need to sell really. I don't think we're in a big enough bull market to reap the benefits of the upside. And I know it's potentially low kind of circulating supply now, and the circulating supply might be a little bit higher later, depending on how the distribution works and how projects choose to use those tokens. But I think over the long term, like, you've just got to ask, will Arbitrum be worth more in the future when everyone's back, more liquidity comes into the system than it is now? And like, it's kind of a no-brainer, and just kind of sit it out and wait to see. If not, then you can just cut your free position, so you haven't really lost anything anyway. So I don't see the necessity to kind of sell and try and time tops and time bottoms. There's going to be much smarter people than me doing that, which will be very successful. But I have no edge there, so I'm just going to sit on my hands and wait and see.
We've also got a thing though, like the majority of people that are getting the if you just go up to that bar chart,
This one,
yeah. So like, if you actually look at it, the majority of people got peanuts, right? There's only like a few wallets that got 10 to 11,000 tokens. Most people are like in that 1,000 to that 0 to 2,000 kind of token range. So in theory, there shouldn't be like an astronomical dump or one that isn't like quick to recover. The only thing I would be worried about is all of these like whales that have been like buying OTC coins. That would be my only worry. But I think we're going to have a blur run, if I'm honest. If you want to compare airdrops, I think we're going to see a chart similar to Blur to begin with.
yeah, exactly. Like, unless you've had an extremely successful kind of airdrop farming expedition where you've maximized the 10,000 to, I think it's like 10,150 or whatever it is, isn't it? Like the max amount. As you say, there's not a large portion of people who've got that. I think it's like, what's that say, like 4,000 addresses or something. So there's no one holding serious bags at this point. Completely agree with what you said with the OTC. If people have been doing the rounds buying OTC, then that's fine. But I've never ever seen everyone pretending they were the little wolf of Wall Street, shouting about OTC deals like quite publicly. This is the first time I've seen that, and I think everyone kind of played their little LARP part in thinking there was some kind of 1980s prime broker trying to get Arb tokens over the line, OTC and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure those people got fucked over on it, but yeah, we'll just have to see. You've obviously got some people on the team, and like, I'm pretty sure some projects will be doing some shady OTC deals and stuff like that as well. So, but no one's technically holding like a ridiculous bag. Like, surely no one's holding like $1 million position or even higher. And you've just got to think like, what the hell's the liquidity size on this going to be? Like, surely a lot of people will just pair it with ETH or pair it with stables and just deposit that into Uniswap and just earn the fees like initially, because that's another strategy you could do. Just like pair it with USDC or pair it with ETH. Maybe not bothered about what you're holding. Set quite a tight range on it, because like the volume that's going to come through, it's going to be ridiculous, isn't it? So you could earn some quite good yield on that.
I mean, is there a discussion to be had around just the sheer volume of liquidity coming into this play, that it just does something that we've never seen any airdrop do before, like just completely up and just do ridiculous market cap in like a record time? I mean, that yes, is definitely a possibility, isn't it?
Top 10
has to go somewhere.
Could you imagine top 10? it just literally like launches, and then you just watch CoinGecko go boop, 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 and it just goes top 10. That'd be absolutely mental.
I think
it could.
Probably should be. Yeah. There's no reason it couldn't. It's like the home of on-chain activity at the minute, isn't it? So
yeah, exactly.
So apart from the airdrop distribution for regular plebs like us, we were looking at the airdrop, Arbitrum DAO airdrop. So I'm not sure if you can see this. It's a bit better, isn't it? So there is 112,834,000 Arb tokens getting airdropped retrospectively to projects that have been in the ecosystem, and I think they've done it quite well. It must have been based on some kind of activity and some kind of rough estimation and some numbers on the back end. Treasure and GMX for me are just like Arbitrum, and that was the way you kind of gain exposure to the Arbitrum ecosystem. Treasure obviously more from a Web3 gaming kind of NFT perspective, and GMX obviously was the Darwin child of GMX, of Arbitrum, sorry. And Uniswap and Sushi obviously coming in quite close there. Dopex quite high. And I think they launched near enough within the first week or so of Arbitrum being live, so that makes a lot of sense. But there were a few standouts, weren't they, Dan? Like that we've pulled up, and I can bring up the images there, and we can get into what that means. So Vesta, I think we pulled out Plutus. Jones got a really good allocation. Camelot, Spirax, and I think Saddle was the other one, but I suppose we can get into what that means now. So Dan sent this over. So basically, all this sheet is showing is what the project is, what their allocation is in Arb tokens, what their current market cap is, and then just a ratio between the two. So allocation per dollar of market cap, and the clear standout winner is VSTA, which is Vesta. Plutus is pretty close behind it, and the other two that aren't on this sheet that I've pulled out are a Saddle and Spirax. So Vesta, I think this was like the whole Tetranode kind of gauntlet days. I'm pretty sure he was. So Vesta, from what I can remember, I'm pretty sure we can bring it up anyway. They're similar to like an Abracadabra on Arbitrum. Let me see if this brings this up. So, and I think well, I kind of know from discussions that happened between Arbitrum and a few projects is Arbitrum really want to have some kind of native Arbitrum stablecoin, which makes a lot of sense, particularly with what's going on at the minute. And I think Vesta being over there quite early, doing their whole generation event and stuff like that over, I think it brought a lot of users and a lot of activity to the chain. So it's obviously not bringing up because it's not connect the wallet, but looks like they're going to benefit quite well off the back of it. And the other two, Spirax again, they've got a stable coin, which from my memory, it's you deposit into their vaults deposit your assets into strategy on the back end, and then you hold their stable coin, and then their stable coin accrues value from whatever their vault is generating from a yield generating capacity. So quite a good product. And then Plutus is more of a like a governance kind of black hole. They've got a shitload of they've got their GMX product, they've got the Dopex product, they've got a few others, and it looks like they're going to do like a Plutus Arb token as well, so PLS Arb. So yeah, it's like these are the projects that have done particularly well, and I think we've seen some activity in the charts based off the back of it, but I don't know if you guys have any additional thoughts on that. Do you think the distribution was fair? Like that's I suppose that's a question. Is there any on the main list that you thought should have had more or should have had less?
I'm curious. Go ahead, Grant. Go ahead, Dan.
I was gonna say that's actually like a really good question. Obviously, like 8 million was the max. whatever mathematical genius was working all this stuff out behind the scenes. But on the face of it, it kind of like does seem fair, because I think it was based on their activity within the ecosystem, you know, kind of like what they've actually contributed to the ecosystem as well. We know Treasure and GMX, like you're saying, they are Arbitrum, basically. Like they are the big daddy dogs of the whole environment, the whole environment. So it makes sense that they do get a big allocation. But now what's going to be interesting is when we were looking at the other sheet where it's allocation to market cap, what's now going to be fascinating to see is what actual weighting each of these projects has when it comes to actual governance voting and how that works for their community. Because now we're going to see, okay, cool. So Treasure and GMX have got a fat stack, but is that fat stack going to be diluted based on the amount of tokens to market cap ratio that we saw? So could Vesta technically have as big a saying in a particular governance voting as, say, Treasure or GMX, because their ratio is, it extrapolates by some, I don't know, we need the calculator guy to do some like mathematical stuff, extrapolates to the size and the power of, let's say, Treasure and GMX. That's what I'd be interested to see.
I'm more interested to understand what they're going to do with their allocated tokens.
Well, if they dump it, imagine dumping 8 bajillion tokens.
Well,
do
do you want to play a DAO governance game going forward as Treasure with 8 million tokens? Do you want to play the DAO game? You know, what are the benefits? Right. I mean, there's a strategy and there's layers around that.
Your reputation, like if any of these projects dump a bag, they are done, mate. They are like TKO'd. Like that is not just nuking the chart. That is like nuking the ecosystem. If somebody at Treasure got all of them tokens or GMX and just like hit sell, ignore slippage, because when your bag's that fat, like who really gives a shit about slippage? Okay, obviously take care of slippage. But like that is just game over. Like these projects will either need to put them into a pool for yield generation, or they will like generally need to hodl. That is 112 million tokens that has to be hodled. I'm sorry, like it has to be.
What about if I throw this into the mix, right? So if you actually look down at to what so Arbitrum Orbit is, and I know we mentioned the OP stack and build on base and things like that a couple of weeks back, and I think we mentioned at the time, I was like, look, Arbitrum will have something similar to this. So Arbitrum Orbit, again, it's their kind of full stack, allowing people to deploy Arbitrum technology in a couple of different ways. So you can deploy an L3 chain on Arbitrum, which is similar to what Arbitrum Nova is. So you can kind of optimize that for, I don't know, that's their whole social layer and their whole gaming layer where they want to push people over to that. Or they can kind of launch an Arbitrum rollup, so similar to like Arbitrum, but with different kind of variables on the chain. So if you want to optimize for speed or security or for throughput or whatever have you, but those two are kind of different. So like the L3 AnyTrust chains like Arbitrum Nova, anyone can kind of deploy them, but with the roll-up chains, like similar to what Arbitrum is, and similar to what Coinbase, base chain is building using the OP stack. If you dig a little bit deeper, it says here, so while layer 3 chain, L3 chains can be deployed permissionlessly, launching a layer 2 chain on Ethereum will require submitting a proposal to the Arbitrum DAO. So what happens if Treasure or GMX, or I don't know, even further down the line, a Uniswap or a Balancer want to actually just run their own app chain? They're going to need a large say in that vote. So I don't think Treasure and GMX can go and offload their Arb tokens through incentives or whatever. I don't think they necessarily need to. I think the smaller projects might need to. But if potentially down the line, like GMX wants to have GMX chain built on top of Arbitrum, which certainly isn't out of the question, or Treasure want to have the Treasure chain built on top of Arbitrum, which I think potentially could be in question, they're going to need a large say in the vote just to make sure that that approval happens, or they're kind of stuck. And there's also kind of rumors of the Bored Ape, like Ape Chain, going on as an LTO on Arbitrum as well. So
no.
So it's a really interesting one. It's like keep an eye on what projects are doing with their DAO airdrop allocation, because further down the line, if they do have plans to want to roll out their own roll up on top of Arbitrum or using the Arbitrum kind of tech stack, then one, they're going to need to keep hold of it, but they may even need to start accumulating just to make sure they can get it over the line as well. But the smaller ones, for example, we've seen already today. Who was it? So I think like Camelot got a decent allocation, but they've just announced $1 million incentive program on Arb liquidity for Camelot. So Arb ETH and Arb Grill will go live when Arb launches. So they'll be effectively incentivizing liquidity on those pools. So you could effectively go and farm their allocation as well. So that, I thought that was just an important point to add with regards to kind of people wanting to spin up like these app chains further down the line.
So in summary, you have Arb at the center of it all, with all the benefits of holding Arb as a protocol within the ecosystem, where you incentivize people to come and use your protocol by rewarding them with Arbitrum tokens. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be pretty similar to how I think it's a little bit more multi-dimensional than this, but it'd be pretty similar to how we've seen like Avalanche Rush, or similar to how we've seen Optimism incentives, or even like the whole Phantom kind of incentives play. And a lot of people will be heavily incentivizing TVL and usage of the protocol through a portion of their Arb airdrop allocations. I think it's pretty stupid, to be fair. I think particularly at this point in the market, I think protocols should be trying to retain as much kind of capital on their books as physically possible, and not giving them away to kind of vultures that are just going to deposit in and leave as soon as like the yield dries up. I think the projects with product market fit and a moat don't need to do that. We can just hang on, like bide their time. Like I wouldn't initially deploy it as liquidity mining. I think that would be stupid. You just wait till everyone else has run out and then you deploy yours. Surely there's no kind of deadline on when you can deploy that. So if you wanted to hold out until like a roaring bull market and then deploy the incentives, like that makes a bit more of sense to me. There's no point doing it at the bottom of the bear market. But yeah, we'll see. Like a lot of this is kind of vanity marketing and vanity metrics for a lot of projects, and they've had their payday, fortunately. But I don't know. We'll wait and see. I just want to check a few charts from that ecosystem, see how they've reacted. If that's all right. So what was the big one?
Grant, is there a potential narrative around kind of like the bribery principle and the bribery strategy off the back of Arb token, in terms of being in an environment where you could have a strategy where bribing and that kind of dynamic comes into play?
See, I wouldn't have necessarily thought so, but I don't. If there wasn't, I don't get why Plutus are creating the PLS Arb token, which effectively allows people to come and lock their Arb with them, which I don't necessarily think makes any sense, to be honest. But you never know. Like, I think it'll be less obvious if you compare it to more like liquidity bribing and incentives and gauges and things like that you see in a Curve, Convex, Balancer, Aura, Hidden Hand kind of ecosystem players. But if projects want to kind of spin up their own app chain further down the line, I think that becomes increasingly more important. And I think this becomes a little bit more of a political maybe an on-chain political game starts to play out there. But I don't think we've even scratched the surface of what Arbitrum is, short-term, medium-term, or long-term. And if people stop and think, oh, well, Arbitrum's just a roll-up, as soon as ZK technology is available, you best bet these guys are going to be at the forefront of it. I think I get kind of pelters for this, but I think ZK EVM is miles away. I've said it for a long time now, and I think that's a very premature narrative, and it kind of speaks volumes about the projects that are saying that they've got it ready and first. You can obviously read between the lines who I'm talking about there, but yeah, I think as I say, I think Arbitrum's in its very early infancy, so it could come into play on a more political level further down the line, but I don't immediately see the kind of bribery or governance delegation benefits of it just yet. But yeah, Vesta pumping after the news of like around here when the DAO allocation got announced, so it had like a big fucking.
All of the DAOs did. Like any DAO that was on the list, people were just like, right, just ape in. And same with like something like Magic and the Magic ecosystem as well. You know, people ape straight into Magic, then turn that into like some of the tokens that they've got going on there. Even like the NFTs within that world have pumped as well. It's interesting to see, man.
Yeah, I mean it's still up 43% on the announcement, so it looks pretty good. I mean, I can imagine people are going to buy it and then maybe LP it or stake it to get to farm the Arb rewards. But for me, if you're not doing that with large enough amounts of capital, that just doesn't necessarily make sense. If you're using it as like a narrative swing trade, then fair enough. But for me, it just doesn't make an awful lot of sense. But what was the other one? I think Plutus has been doing really well.
Plutus has been on an absolute storm.
So they've migrated their liquidity to Camelot as well, which is interesting. Because they were kind of, yeah, it's beauty chart.
Like, that is monstrous.
4x off the bottom. Since March the 11th. Yeah. I mean, you know what's smart about this, Dan? You'll know this from like the whole shitcoin world. The idea of them migrating liquidity from Sushi to Camelot, like how more appealing is that chart than the previous chart?
Oh yes.
So even from like a psychological level, if we have a look at the like fresh chart versus quite a wiki chart, if that makes sense, but people do that. But it seems like Camelot are doing really well off the back of it as well. I think we commented on the whole Dex wars and Arbitrum quite a while back, and it seems to have played out. So good fortune telling again there, Dan.
And it seems like Camelot has been the big winner here. I mean, just look at that. That is an absolutely monstrous chart.
That's like 2020, 2021 charts. So
yeah.
So I was actually right all along around this thing. I'm taking back my apology.
What did you say? It hasn't topped that 3K?
Exactly. I said, no, it's not a top. Everyone said it was top, and it was actually local top in all fairness, but then it just came back with an absolute vengeance and said, Jedis was right all along. You guys were all wrong, and I was just going to continue doing it. Thing. Maybe I've just called the local top again, and it's going to go down and go to 6 after. Who knows?
If I didn't lock for 6 months on the token generation event,
you would have sold at 3.
I'd have fumbled this so bad.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's genius. Like the narrative for Camelot just kept growing and growing, and what was really interesting, I think people like heavily dumped the Grail bags, as we saw a lot of like the pre-sales just completely nuke, And then when people started to get smart on these like public sales that were actually happening on their launch pad, that people were like, okay, cool, let's get this going. Obviously, like you had a few big chads actually aping the bottom on it, which I also think helped because people were just copy trading them as well. But no, I'm really impressed. I mean, look at that.
This is what I mean by it, having a fresh chart. They need to relaunch the liquidity elsewhere because that looks horrendous.
Or
There's
just like
nothing appealing about that.
Inverse.
Yeah.
What was the allocation? Do we know?
It was like 7 million or something. Then they have like the highest.
Who Trove?
No. Treasure's got the highest, but did Trove get any?
Oh no, you want about Camelot got 2.189, so like nearly 2.2 million. So but all these arbitrary numbers don't necessarily mean a thing. So there's been a lot of discussion about what the actual Arb price will be. Put out a poll yesterday, which didn't necessarily make any sense with the results that came back. So
I wouldn't be surprised if it comes on at $20 and then just plummets down to that 1-2.
So I said Arb listing price less than $1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 plus. Majority said 1 to 2, which I tend to agree with. I think it'll be around. I think it'll trade between 150 and 180, potentially, and then our price a week from launch. Everyone seems to think it'll be still in the same $1 to $2 range, which I think people are going to get a big surprise. I could be completely wrong here, but I've never seen such demand for an airdrop or a token, particularly over the counter, than I have with this.
Just getting down to market cap value in terms of how many tokens are being launched.
It's
exactly.
Like a billion.
Do we have the tokenomics in front of us? I think it is $1 billion, isn't it? Somewhere around there.
And I think the allocation that's going to like plebs like us is really, really small, which is also why I don't think there's going to be a massive like impact.
Total Arb supply 10 bill.
It's 10 billion. The Arbitrum DAO treasury's got 4.2. Off-chain labs, teams, and advisors 2.6. Off-chain labs investors 1.7. The airdrop is 1.162 billion. So like, what's that? 11% of the supply. The DAO airdrop is 113 million. So you're looking at between those two numbers there. And 1.27
bill.
Yeah. So that's what'll come. But what I didn't really get from the official docs, I didn't really get what it was saying about the vesting terms. Obviously, it's 4 years for investors, advisors, team, and shit like that. But it said starting from March 2023 until March 2024 will be like the first. It didn't necessarily make a lot of sense, so I'm gonna have to kind of see what happens there. It was pretty vague, in all honesty. So Stephen's put on this calculator, which I'll leave in the description if anyone wants to play around with it. Just make a copy of it. So the total circulating supply at launch should be 1,275,000,000 Arb tokens, and he's great, isn't he? So total Arb supply, estimated market cap. So we can actually put in. So like he's put in the numbers for the comparison against Optimism. So the Arb price at the Optimism market cap. What's he saying here? Let's have a look. Okay,
so Optimism market cap's at 852 million.
Right.
I'm sorry, but the 852 million is going to be Mickey Mouse for Arbitrum. Like, really. I just think that is such a Mickey Mouse number for Arbitrum and what it's got going. What does OP actually have presently? Like, it's got nothing compared to Arbitrum.
It only pumps the Coinbase.
I'm sorry, but in terms of the protocol quality, in terms of the TVL that's constantly in circulation, you just can't compare the two. I'm looking at billions for Arbitrum. I really just don't see this thing being anywhere less than top 20, like in a very short space of time.
Agreed. And in theory, like
Yeah, so
if Arb comes out like 5x higher, then the token would be well over $3, like well over $3.50.
Mm.
If you do the math based on Stephen.
Correct.
Yeah, so what he's saying,
392.
For the same market cap as Optimism, it'd be at 67 cents effectively. But what's I think that even though it's completely different, I think the fairest comparison would be Matic. So we'll plug some of these numbers in and see what this says. So Matic's market cap is 10.229.
I still have no idea what Matic has to offer. I'm still trying to figure it out after all these years. I'm just like, I've tried to use it a number of times and it just wasn't a great experience. Yet, I mean, I don't want to fight anyone's bags here, but it's like, it wasn't the best user experience from my perspective to start off with.
They've got a really cool business development team and they've got some cool projects. That's it.
And they've just laid
So
off
what
half the
cool
staff
projects do they have?
Too many tokens.
I guess Mercedes aped in. I guess D-Gods. They're also going to be doing a ZK EVM chain with Immutable, which will be interesting. Maybe they're going to try and steal some of like the whole gaming ecosystem from Arbitrum. Maybe that's what this is.
The thing is, though, Dan, it's all a lot of maybes. You know, whereas something like Arbitrum is certainties. There's just all I see is certainties versus maybes.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. So I think maybe this is a good comparison. I agree. This 10 bill might be more of a...
You're certain. This is certainly a good comparison to have.
There's no certainly. Maybe. Agreed.
I mean, I'd certainly be happy if it was a comparison with Matic at like $8 per.
I think we all are in terms of
have we all just like worked out like how much our bag is times $8 and some change? Because I certainly have.
Yeah, I'd be going to build my villa. I think
$8.23, and I was like, I'm all over this like a cheap suit, and I might land up selling and change my entire strategy and go and take to one of the Indian Ocean islands. I might even invite you guys. I might even pay for you.
Mate, I'd get. Oh, mate, I'm keen. Oh, mate, I'd be able to get out of the basement for a week.
We're not just going for a week, bro. I promise you that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'd be going to build that villa that I want to build.
There we go. We all have our freaking vices.
But yeah, we'll see. I think like $1 to $2 range, potentially a couple of weeks up. But I wouldn't be surprised if it went on further, maybe like $3, $4, $5. But it's going to be absolute chaos. As you said, Dan's got his 5 cans of Monster Energy drink. Going to be checking the 1 minute chart. But these are like the best days to be involved in this space. Just the memes will be on fire, I know for a fact. So it's going to be.
And we won't be participating in that capacity in any way whatsoever. We'll just be innocent bystanders, of course.
Yeah, we won't be adding fuel to the fire or anything.
Nah, never. No, we just don't do
that. Maybe a little.
Is there anything else on the back of that? Is there anything we've missed off? So just to kind of recap, it's like 4 hours. Just check.
Yeah, it's like 4 hours.
Is that a bit of a strange time for the US?
No, it's when they're waking up. They're waking up. Eastern Standard's waking up, and I can guarantee you Pacific will be waking up super early to catch this.
Dude, could you imagine, like, literally, like, how many Americans today are going to be, like, pulling a sickie in the morning just to, like, catch the airdrop?
I mean, leading on to the next topic that I think we really do need to discuss is, you know, the latest development with the SEC and that one there. Yeah. So head of legal put this out yesterday. They received a Wells notice from the SEC. And it looks like Coinbase is going to fight this fight. They're not going to back down. And apparently a whole lot of other people also received notices from the SEC.
Yeah, Justin Sun got one as well, didn't he?
Oh,
I
mate,
mean, can you imagine how stressed out Justin Sun got when he received that? I'm sure he couldn't wait to come up with a number of memes to complement his notice.
Exactly, like it wasn't his like with Logan Paul as well, or Jake Paul, one of them. Like,
Yes,
that's why
one
he
of the
was.
YouTubers. Yeah.
Mate, you're not going to take Justin Sun down, mate. You are stupid if you think you're going to do that. Like, this guy is his Royal Excellency. Like, nobody else on Twitter is like a his Royal Excellency. Get out of here, Gary.
Imagine trying to foot the legal bill that he could.
Right, he's just gonna...
$890 million wallet. I think Hisaka actually posted a screenshot of his wallet.
Right, he's just going to keep printing TUSD. Like, when he wanted to try and buy like Credit Suisse, like you saw the transaction, like mint 1.5 billion.
I love that. Hisaka once again delivers. How many times have we featured Hisaka on our streams? And we will continue to do so because there is no one in the space that can deliver the blow by blow. It's quite the way that he does.
Yeah, he's just saying, Justin Sun, I would like to propose a 1.5 billion offer to acquire the SEC and integrate it into the Web3 world.
Such a freak.
Justin Sun's like mega wealthy though, isn't he? Like,
yeah, he is.
I'd say a couple of bill. Like basically the whole.
I think probably more than that, dude.
The whole Tron chain is just like his personal blockchain that he uses to farm against himself and trade against himself.
The thing is, in all seriousness, I mean, you joke about that, but the real value that Tron brings is the fact that you have an entire market of unbanked people that predominantly use USDT to send funds from point A to point B. That's the biggest value that USDT and the Tron network brings. Costs $1 per transaction. People don't mind paying it because it's either $1 to move USDT around or $50 to move money through the bank, which takes a week. Which one do you choose?
Yeah, it's hilarious. Like the top two protocols are called Just Lend and Just Stables.
I wonder if he owns them.
And the third one's called Sun. Oh, God.
You have said all you needed to say.
It's like calling like Uniswap Vitalik swap or something, isn't it?
Sure.
Oh, God.
So this is going to be an interesting development, though. Just going back to the story, I mean, we can kind of sit here and snigger all we want, but I think this is quite a relevant story in light of choke point 2.0, and, you know, believe it or not, doesn't matter. The point is that, you know, the Biden administration is drawing a line in the sand. On and off ramps have been subjected to a serious amount of pressure over the last couple of weeks, the last month or so. Wells notices have been issued by the dozens. They're on a mission. Now, Coinbase, if there's anyone who can take this fight on and take it to its fruition all the way without even looking at doing a deal, but actually setting a precedent, because if you read this thread, they are very clear around the fact that they have engaged with the SEC for over 30 times, over 9 months, asking the same questions over and over again, and not getting any clear answers in any format whatsoever. Obviously, there's two sides to a story. The SEC will have their side, which we haven't heard. But from the Coinbase side, it's like, we want to make this work. We want to know where we stand. We've done incorporation from a regulatory perspective in multiple jurisdictions all around the world. Singapore, he lists them all. Yet with the SEC, we can't get a straight answer. And in fact, we've gotten no answers over the 9 months that we've been engaging with them. And now we've received a notice. We're taking this on. We will take the legal route. And who would have thought that Coinbase would have been the one to essentially take on this fight? Because, I mean, I think Coinbase is probably one of the least liked companies in the crypto space. And, you know, Brian Armstrong now gets to be the hero beyond, anything really in crypto at the moment, especially from a US perspective.
Is he the only one who can take the fight though?
Yes, correct. He is the only one, really.
Yeah, I think he's if you asked me a year ago, I'd have been like, yeah, Coinbase like fucked up. They had like the best bull market of all time. Obviously, they went public and shit, but like the amount of innovation that they could have pushed and that they kind of fumbled the bag on. But we need them more than ever now, I think. And if it means they go offshore, then they go offshore. They mentioned it last week that they're looking at other jurisdictions to like, fully kind of set up shop in. They're a fully remote company. They made that decision during COVID, and everything they do is very well coordinated. And this announcement about Brazil isn't a coincidence. So they're expanding into Brazil, our mission to democratize access to crypto as the global economy. So I'd expect a little bit more of this. But who knows?
Grant, we spent a few days in Dubai last week for the East Dubai conference, and we met a number of protocols and individuals who are relocating from the States and Canada to Dubai. I mean, for me, that's the last place that I would live. But if you are in the States and if you're in Dubai and you're working on a protocol, you honestly can't, unless you vote these politicians out, you can't stay there because they're going to land up issuing you with notices and suing you and putting you in jail.
So you're telling me that blockmates might be relocating to Brazil?
No, we will never go to Brazil. That's just not where we would go. We would go somewhere else, though.
But mamacita.
Mexico is an option, I suppose.
I don't think we get any work. Done. Dan, you certainly wouldn't get any work.
I definitely wouldn't, mate.
He's got other work in mind.
We'd be getting one newsletter out a month.
No comment.
Right. Has anything else happened? Do you want to go through anything else, or let's wrap it up?
Well, we had FOMC yesterday, pretty much exactly as predicted. Massive dump. The only thing that was a little bit of a surprise is that it didn't dump as hard as I think most people expected it to. I mean, it still could, but it's so weird. Like everything that was expected came out, yet the market dumped. It's kind of like, okay, so the market just wants to dump, and there's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is just prepare for your shorts, and a lot of guys did. It was quite interesting.
It was getting a bit heavy anyway, wasn't it?
It was, absolutely. It was expected. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out over the next couple of weeks. Just from a market perspective, I think it's quite difficult to make a call now. There's a lot of guys that are saying it'll recover and push back up again. There's a lot of guys that are saying it's going back to 18K. It's like there's like a distinctive split between the two.
Yeah, it takes one red candle to change everyone's thesis.
It's all it takes. I mean, it's all it takes.
And on that bombshell,
I didn't watch it yesterday. Just to kind of film in what was the sentiment around Big JP?
25 basis points increase. A little bit of a deer in the headlights with regards to some of the especially one of the questions that Daddy Powell was asked. What was is this going to land up, escalating? Like, is it under control? And it's like, no, I have to get back on you on this, but everything's fine. We've got, everything in hand, but it's kind of like this real, very certain that it's all in hand, but also very uncertain in terms of where it's going. It was very interesting from that perspective. And the market did not like that, dude. The market was just not happy with that.
Yeah.
Can this happen again? No, it can't. We've got, everything's under control. when they start saying that, bro, then and the market was just like bullshit, just red, bullshit.
What does he want? He wants a few scalps and a few kind of bankruptcies, doesn't he, to show that he's breaking the back of inflation. Jesus Christ. He said, like, how many more kind of SVBs and big bank scares is it going to take? Does he actually want to kind of cause global contagion because he wants to keep it? Like, he needs to get over the fact that the 2% paradigm is long gone. It's going to be long gone for a very, very long time.
I mean, this topic is very much in the realm of, what Ben and Noah discuss on a fairly regular basis with Exit Liquidity, which is one of the other shows that we do in the Blockmates channel. So, I watch it, actually. Believe it or not, I actually turn it on and I listen to it in the background. And I mean, those two are completely mad. I mean, we actually need to we need to actually get them therapists. I really do. But if you want to, I mean, just in terms of the listeners out there, if you guys want to, get more of an insight from a crypto narrative perspective around the macro environment, just listen to Exit Liquidity. The boys have got a good thing going, and I think it's something that we're going to see a lot more of. And there's nothing like getting two doomers in the same room with one another. It just really is an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I'll leave the link for the channel and in the description when we post this one up. Yeah. If anyone likes a bit more of a macro look.
Okay, so I think we need to go and do some work. Apparently we release content on a regular basis, and I think we need to go and do that. Please like and subscribe. You know the drill. Just do it. If you have a problem with doing it once you've done it, you're very welcome to message me in Discord, and I might send you something in the mail.
Ooh la la.
All right, we'll speak to you next time. Take it easy.